Hi, this is Dr. Hazel-Grace Yates, and I am joined again with Micah Earth Spirit. And I am logging in today from Indian Wells, California. And Micah, where are you?
I am in the lovely city of Dallas, Texas.
Awesome. And we are coming to you again live as we are preparing for our retreat that we're going to be running in November called Reveal, Bringing Our Genitals into the Light. And today we're going to be talking about communal erotic experience. What's the point? And before we go into that, Micah, I want to check back in because last time we told our viewers that we would share with them our festival sexual erotic experiences. So I want to find out from you, how did it go for you out in Eclipse?
Well, Hazel-Grace, I did have a little bit of a sexual experience at Eclipse. I just re-listened to my description and I was kind of astounded at how well I manifested that situation into my life. I will say that it was a beautiful and a little more gentle than the description that I kind of originally made, but I did have this beautiful encounter with this gorgeous, sexy man, and it started with a beautiful heart connection. And we went back to his tent as I had laid it out. And
nice.
yeah, it was so beautiful. And we had kind of this super sexy foreplay that was very hot and slow and grounding and just really eased us into a very connected sexual experience. And it was exactly what my body and my soul needed, and I felt nourished and like taken care of.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I'm so curious what happened to you out on that dusty playa.
Well, I did have two beautiful sexual encounters, and I will say they didn't. Two. It didn't go exactly as I had envisioned, and I had a beautiful experience and a major breakthrough. So I was hanging out with this one guy pretty much all night long, and at one point we were kind of moving towards the direction of engaging more sexually, and it was headed in the direction of the possibility of us having sexual encounter together. And he said, I have a withhold to share with you. He said, I'm not attracted to you. And my reaction to what he said to me was the huge breakthrough. I didn't make him wrong. I didn't shame him. I didn't break down. I didn't collapse. I didn't get mad. I didn't go into any of that. I was just totally met him with where he was, and I so appreciated his authenticity and honesty. And it was really interesting because it was like, it was out on the table, the honesty. And so it was an opportunity for us to experiment and be like, okay, well, how do we want to be with this? Here we are. You feel aroused and turned on when we make out and when we dance. But when you look at me, you're not attracted to me. And so I was like, well, I still want to have sex. Would you like to have sex? And and when I was saying that, it was in this like light, playful, what's so authentic, like matter of fact way. And what was going on in my head at that time was, if you're not interested in this, that's okay, because there's thousands of people out here at Burning Man who I know are attracted to me and interested in me. And it wasn't like making him wrong. It was just coming from this place of freedom. And so for someone like myself who's struggled for so much of my life around my body image, for me to not be upset or bothered or triggered by him saying he wasn't attracted to me was a huge breakthrough. And it was exciting for me, but also he has said he's been frustrated by the limited amount of women that he's attracted to. And so I'm hopeful for the possibility for him that moving forward, that it's possible that he can connect with a variety of women's bodies. And, you know, whether it's biological or whether it's cultural based, I think a lot of men, I've been getting this recently. I've been getting some clients, male clients, that are frustrated with the limited amount of women that they're attracted to, whether it's based on evolutionary biology, like how they're hardwired, or whether it's based on our cultural media, pornography, you know, what is attractive. So I'm excited to see how that goes for him. And it was I guess more than anything, it was such a fun way of being with one another. And it was just so transparent, even though it took a lot of courage for us to be engaged in that fairly sensitive conversation. So
yeah, I love the willingness of you both to kind of push in and be honest, and then to still explore, like, okay, so that is here between us, but what else?
Totally.
Did you end up like making love, or did you end up yes.
As the sunrise outside, I went to his tent, and it was like in the middle of nowhere, and the sun was rising, and we got to be outside, and it was playful and erotic and fun and sweet, and there was a lot of laughter, and we did contact improv dancing, and so it was really fun to bring that kind of playful improvisational movement into our sexual connection. So it was very satisfying and fulfilling and lovely.
Mm.
Yes.
I love it.
Thank you. Me too. So let's dive in to the topic at hand. Communal erotic experience. What's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point? I pass the mic over to you, Micah. What's the point?
Wow, I've been thinking, like, what is the point? Because something in me, the piece in me that is wanting communal sexual experience is really comes from a place of curiosity, like what is out there. So to think about what's the point, it made me kind of shift into like, what are the benefits of communal sexual experiences, and what would we really get out of having sexuality within a community like setting. And so what I think is that, one, there's just a huge release of shame. Maybe 2 months ago, that I was absolutely terrified of anyone in my community seeing me naked, because I had this thought in my mind that if anyone saw me naked, any of my friends, they would literally just be like, I don't like you. I don't want to be your friend anymore. And that is a real thought that I've had in my head for a long time, is that and I think the first step of why a communal sexual experience is needed is just to say, here's me, I'm naked. Maybe you can accept this, and maybe I can accept you as naked too, and that could just be a foundation of friendship. So that's like my starting point, is like, let's just be naked and see how we can accept each other's body.
Totally. And so I want to share that Tyler J. Williams said, what exactly is a communal erotic experience? So maybe we can start about like what it is first. So
yeah,
right. So what I would say is that an experience where there is a community of people, so I would say, maybe more than 4 people, where we're having some sort of an erotic experience. And that can look like a lot of different things. I mean, it can be a full-on swingers orgy experience, right? Or it could be like a really meditative tantric experience where we're playing with our energies within our own bodies. One of the things that I'm really excited about, the reveal, is going to do orgasmic yoga, which looks like all of us being on our yoga mat, and it's almost like a yoga class, but instead of doing asana yogas, we're going to be doing self-pleasure practice in a communal experience. And so it's a pretty loose, broad definition of what is a communal erotic experience. It's basically being in community, playing with erotic energy, whether you're solo or engaging with other people. And I am with you, Micah, when I say the benefit of a communal erotic experience is reduction of shame, because our culture teaches us that if you're going to be engaging in sexually, it needs to be either by yourself or with your partner behind closed doors. And so there's like a loss of us learning and expanding what's possible because we're all doing it solitarily, right? And so one of the things that I've gotten a lot out of in being in communal erotic experiences is just like, like looking over at somebody else and be like, I've never thought about doing it like that. It's almost like ecstatic dance, right? When you're on the ecstatic dance floor, sometimes I'll just be looking and I see someone move in a way that I'm like, oh, I want to try that and see how it feels in my body. And so for me, it can be inspirational when I'm with other people in a communal erotic experience, and definitely healing, because it's like when we're all giving each other permission and we're saying yes to pleasure, yes to exploring our erotic beings, either by yourselves or with another. And we're saying yes is clearing out the shame for as many messages as we've heard as that's bad or you shouldn't do it or not talked about. So I absolutely believe that one of the biggest things is actually reduction of shame. So those are the few things that I like about it. And I'm curious if you want to share anything else, Micah.
Yeah, well, I love how much you hit on. And one of the, like today, I just decided to do a little research, like what's out there. I typed communal sexual experience. And obviously that's a very weird term for like a shared sexual experience or a group sexual experience. So one of the things that I really recognized was something that you talked in, like being in a room with a lot of people, you can see what other people are doing and try on new ideas. So kind of encourages fantasy. So it's this place to be able to expand, like when things have gotten stale or if you're just feeling a little locked. And another thing that I feel is important to mention is that a shared sexual experience is not an orgy. Like I think a lot of people make fun of me because they're like, you're always trying to have orgies, but it's like, no, I don't want to just have a gangbang, or I want to be in a sacred experience where like everyone has the ability to state their boundaries and really pursue what they want, but we can do it together in a room. So it's like in shared sexual experiences, it's not that we have to share with everyone even. It's like, be with who you want to be with, but do it in the open. And I think there's something freeing in that concept. Like you don't have to have sex with everybody in the room. You could still just be with your partner, but be open. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
And the other thing, no, I love it. And the other thing that I want to add on to that is at least how you and I facilitate is it's always coming from, as you already mentioned, enthusiastic consent, but also it's coming from a heart-centered place. Like what is our loving, fulfilling desire that's coming from this place when we engage with ourselves or with other people. And there's a few people that are listening, and so I want to ask people if they want to share any experiences that they've had or any fears that they might have around communal erotic experiences. And the other thing that I want to mention too that I really enjoy is I've been in situations where there's actually the orgasmic energy that builds in the room through a group of people. So we're all so connected to each other, and you can actually feel the orgasmic energy build within one another. And there is just something, I am heterosexual. It's true. I love men. And yet when I hear women moaning, I actually feel it in my pussy. it's like one of the things that can like totally get me aroused and turn on is hearing another woman's pleasure, because I feel her pleasure in my whole body, and I really love it.
I love that. And one of the things that I am aware of and is pretty obvious in shared sexual experiences is this intensification of sexual sensations. So like not only is it amplified in the room and the energy is lifted, but maybe there's potential to play with more than one person, so you could actually like feel what it's like to receive even just touch from two people, or to have one person kissing your neck while somebody else is tickling you with a feather. And like this reality that there's actually even more pleasure and more sensation that's available to us, and we can bring that out and expand what our bodies can feel and hold.
Yes. One of the what's the point for me around communal erotic experiences is more hands and more body parts available for more possibilities and combinations of what we can do erotically. I had a really beautiful experience at Burning Man. There were 5 of us that were at this tantric play party, and everyone else in the room was coupled. And it was like partner based, and then it was us 5, and there were us 5 singles. And it was so sweet how we created really clear boundaries with one another. And all of us actually kept our underwear on, and it wasn't super genital focused, and it was really energy focused. And it was like as if we didn't have to speak. It kept being, one person kind of kept going into the center and had kind of the center of attention. And it unfolded really beautifully, organically. And it was really one of my highlights from Burning Man was that experience. Yeah.
I love that the sexual experience didn't even involve penetration, and that we can have so much sexuality present, and it doesn't have to be about penis and vagina. It can be about just the energy of what is between us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I like helping people do more than anything is expanding our concept and understanding of what is sex. I know for myself growing up, sex was when a penis went into a vagina. And I continue to explore and learn all the multiple infinite ways that sex can look. So just piggybacking on what you said, totally.
Sorry,
awesome.
Out. I also I want to backtrack just a second, because something I've kind of heard a few times and I'm curious about within shared sexual experiences is boundaries. And I think that another benefit of having our learning how to act, it's really powerful, because rejection to me is something that terrifies me. So I often actually don't express my truth because I'm afraid of hurting other people. But I think this is something that I really want to play with within sexuality, is learning where my no is, learning how to express that without hurting someone's feelings. It's okay if you don't want to have sex with me.
Right.
I love that your partner telling you hey, I have a withhold. How
it was so cool.
Do we share these things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
so what
definitely
do you think about that?
Well, what I think is when you have trained expert facilitators like ourselves in a room, in an erotic experience, a communal erotic experience, that we've got resources and support, and we're not alone. So if someone's engaged one-on-one with someone, they might, and they come up against something and they don't know how to work through it, they don't have anyone to go to or ask or get support, right? But if someone's in the room and they feel they have a breakdown and they get triggered, they have rejection or they need safety or they need support or something, we've got ourselves as facilitators, but also the collective wisdom of the group just to hold and support one another. And the other thing too is it's permission giving. When I see other people asking for what they want, I feel more permissive about asking for what I want. When I see people being honest and sharing withholds and saying no to something, it gives me more permission to say no or to share my withholds with people. So it's the community aspect of it is supporting one another in safety and having access and resources to one another, but also permission giving to one another.
I love that. I was just looking, I wrote down this quote today, and I feel like it kind of, I don't know, speaks to that in some way, but it says shared eroticism opens up endless possibilities and takes out from the usual patterns those willing to give up fears, prejudices, and this word is hard, automatisms. But I love, like, when we're willing to give up our fears and our prejudices, then we open into, like, all of what's in front of us. And I think part of giving up the fears can be speaking them and, like, owning them. And then we can really move into what else is available.
Totally. I love it. Okay, so Michael McElhaney just said, I love how you are both pointing to the ongoing developmental possibility and the now of communal erotic experiences. Yum. Thanks, Michael. I love you. All right, so Micah,
Michael, I hope you join our communal.
Yes, please. Let's bring this to a close. Is there anything else that you want to share here at the end, Micah?
Well, just to wrap up, like, because I assume that you've been in a few communal experiences and some shared sexuality. And I want to touch on, because it's obvious that there are problems here too. And two that I saw that are obvious are jealousy and consent. And Hazel, I just wanted to ask a quick, like, question about, like, what do you do when these come up, or like what it how have you noticed these? And
well, so I love that you're bringing up what could go wrong, or kind of the shadow side to this, because my tendency is to look at it's so awesome, and I get that there's a shadow to everything, right? And so in specifically with jealousy, the most important thing within committed relationships, whatever the commitment level is, before going into these spaces, having super crystal clear agreements, and maybe even having them written down, and maybe even having a witness to support them and hold them accountable, and or having like a mediator go-to person if stuff comes up. So that's the first thing. And then I would say that if something's happening in the moment where jealousies are rising, is to get support. And, at this event, we will have people ready to help or facilitate these conversations. And yeah, jealousy is a very real human experience. And whenever I think about jealousy, what I like to think about, as opposed to saying the feeling of jealousy, it's like what's underneath that. And it's typically fear. And so if jealousy pops up, it's like, what can we get to the fear? What is actually the fear, and name the fear? Sometimes just even naming the fear can help dissipate, or at least if we get to the fear, we might be able to shift the context of what's happening to support them, both parties or the individual parties. So, I mean, and really to avoid any of the negative is for us to have a really super strong, clear container at the very beginning of agreements and having resources and support. So if you do get triggered, if you do have trouble, like, what do you do? Where do you go? Right. And so having those set in place, and I think that some of the erotic experiences that I've been a part of is people don't know how to initiate or engage, especially if it's a bunch of couples and they're not sure like how to engage. And so the reason why this retreat is so exciting is we're going to have a lot of structured activities that are going to facilitate and help people integrate into the community, so that whenever we get to some of the parts where it'll be more free flowing, they'll have those skills and they'll already be integrated into the community that we're going to be creating that weekend. So those are some of the shadowy sides of things. And then the other thing too is integration and processing aftercare. So it'll be really important after we do something that we have check-ins and say, okay, we had this experience and how did it go? And having some follow-up aftercare is the term that's used in at least the kink community. But it is the aftercare, the integration. Okay, so now that you've opened all this up and you've experienced all these things, how can you go back into your world and integrate those in a way that's really nourishing and safe and adding value to your life outside of the retreat?
I love it. I feel so excited to really bring sexuality into this community of people who are so open to what develops when we get in a room full of people who are willing to like talk around this and experiment. And I love everything you just said. It cleared layers of doubt and confusion as well. So I just love what we're doing in this work, and I'm so excited for this reveal.
Yeah, me too. And I just want to share that Sky just said, can I get a witnesses? Yes, Sky, you can get a witnesses. Oh, awesome. All right, my love. Thanks for this fun, juicy conversation. And as usual, we will be sharing information about the retreat happening in November in Texas, and we will send you the information. Oh, okay. Sky asked, what is the
10th through the 12th?
Yes,
and we're
November
still
10th through the 12th.
Looking for location, but it's coming soon.
Yes. And Sky just said, what's the most prominent value received from communal eroticism? So yes, we already touched on that, Sky, so you can go watch the beginning. But
I will say this, because we didn't talk about this, but just more passionate and better sex. There you go.
Less shame, more freedom, more inspiration, more connection, and more hands. More body parts.
And variety. Woo!
And variety. Yes. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Micah. Well,
love you and see you all soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.